Hey everyone, Caleb with Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with the first weekly Work With Me video for the year. Just wanted to say Happy New Year, guys. This is the first video I'm recording in the new year. The other one that we did this week was a pre-recorded one. So with that said and done though, guys, I'm just going to hop straight in the screen share just so we can get straight to it. So here we are, guys. Here's the poll. As you guys can see, it looks like Boise, Idaho came in second place, and in first place we got Pensacola, Florida. So let's just cut straight to the chase and get to that. So first things first, booksalefinder.com. Got that pulled up. It looks like we have a sale in Orlando, DeLand, and Key West, and Melbourne. Sorry. Caleb's feeling a little sick this week, so bear with me. So we are looking for sales on the 6th, 7th, and 8th. That's preferred. Of course, there might be some sales going on today, as we've gone over in other videos. The ones that start Thursdays can be very stinking nice. So I like ones that start on Thursdays a lot of the time, because a lot of the time those sales will have a lot more volume, and a lot of booksellers, they aren't going out on the Thursdays. A lot of them will go out on Friday and Saturday. That's when I find a lot of people end up going out. So if you can do the Thursday ones, a lot of the time you can be one of the only booksellers there. The only other people I normally see there are going to be like old ladies who are like 79, not 79, 89, 79 isn't too old anymore, 89, 99, 109, you know, it's like the older ladies who are going along in their walkers and buying like 2 books the entire time they're there, and they're mostly just there to chat with each other, you know, and have fun. So that's what I normally see when I go to the Thursday ones. Of course, there are other people as well. I see a lot of moms with their kids going out and buying all the books for their kids so their kids can have something fun too. That's just what I normally see on Thursday. So not many other sellers from my experience on Thursday. So with that said, as you can see, it's the 5th today, and this DeLand one starts on the 5th. So I'm going to open that one up first, and also opened up the other ones so we can check those out. I don't know exactly where all these are right off the bat based on Florida's map. But we'll be able to spot all those as we get along. I'm pretty sure Orlando is not too close, seeing as Pensacola's here and Orlando's there, but we'll still look at it just because it is a good one to look at. So as you guys can see, though, it's a big sale. I'll get to that later, though, because we are here for the DeLand, Florida one first. So it looks like it's a monthly sale. You guys know what I say about that. I love that. The monthly sales do so well for me. A lot of other booksellers, they don't go to these. From my experience, a lot of them will only go to the really big sales, the sales that happen once a year, twice a year, something like that, sometimes even quarterly. The sales they like are the ones that have tens of thousands of books, or at the very least, thousands upon thousands upon thousands. Right here, we could just see it's 3,000 plus books, which I find is not enough to bring along a lot of the other sellers out there. Of course, there are sellers that do go to these. I just, from my experience, I don't see a whole lot of them. So with what I know about Pensacola, Florida, I don't know a ton, but I know it's not the biggest town out there. It's not a small town whatsoever either, but it's in between. And what I find is that in between towns, you might have like 1 or 2 other resellers, but not a lot besides that. What I find usually is the very large towns, like let's just say Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, the larger towns with hundreds of thousands of people at the very least, those will have a lot more resellers. And with that said, I want to caveat, it has to be like hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of people, from my experience, for it to have a lot of other resellers. The towns that I've gone to that have only like 100,000 people to like 180,000 people, somewhere in there, those don't usually have a whole lot of other resellers living in town. Book resellers, guys, we're not a dying breed, but we're definitely not the most populous breed out there. There's not a lot of other booksellers out there. So guys, when you can find smaller towns or even mid-sized towns like 100,000 people, that is not a little bit of people, and you're going to find a lot of books in towns like that. When you can find something like that, that, from my experience, is a gold mine. And I'm not just saying, oh, the town has to have that population. It has to have that population and be far enough away from the big cities, because if it's in the big city, there's going to be a lot of other resellers regardless, and it's basically just an offshoot of that city. But as we can see here, Pensacola, Florida is not a massive city. It's good enough that you'll probably have a good amount of book selection, but it's not insanely sized. So with all that said, back on to the sale. It's the 5th through the 7th. Again, it starts today, Thursday. That's a very good sign from my experience. So it looks like the preview is just Thursday. That's pretty common. I know of plenty of other booksellers who say you have to get every single Friends of the Library sign up you can just to be able to go to these previews, because it's the only way you can make money. I strongly disagree with that, guys. However, I disagree with a little asterisk, you know? And the asterisk is my little caveat, and that caveat, guys, is it's necessary, arguably necessary to do that if you are doing it in the big cities. So let's say for me, I live in the Portland area. So if I want to do a Friends of the Library sale in Portland and go to the preview, I need to go to the preview to get a good selection of books. I need to go to the preview to not have everyone else buy all the good books, because there's 1,000,005 other booksellers in the Portland area. Whereas if I'm going somewhere, I've mentioned this in other videos, Prineville, which is one of my favorite cities to source in, I don't need to do the preview there. In fact, I don't even know if they have a preview there, but I don't need to do it there because I'm the only bookseller going there. In fact, at least as far as I know, I mean, I haven't been for a little bit, so they might have someone else now. They might be cheating on me with someone else. Oh no, I need to go. But guys, I don't need to go there for the smaller towns because there's just not enough other people buying books that I really have a lot of competition. Yes, there's the other people buying books from that town, but usually I try to be very, very lenient when I'm buying books at these places anyways. And if I know that I'm buying books and someone else from the town wants that book and they're like, oh man, I came here just for that book, I was looking for that kind of book. If it's not worth a ton of money, I'll be like, oh yeah, here, you can take it, you know, just buy it yourself. Or even as I'm walking out, I'll be like, oh, okay, here, dollar lost, you know, something like that. I mean, I try to be the nicest person I can be because at the end of the day, I'm making a good amount of money. I'm well in the black on 99.9% of these sales that I go to. I am making tons of money, so I can definitely miss out on a couple good sales or okay sales here and there on some of these books. So with that said though, guys, that's just what I try to do. The previews, I don't see they're too necessary for where I source for my books and where I recommend people source for their books. I have a whole lot of reasons for that. In fact, I was just talking to one of you guys on the Facebook messaging thing for that group. You guys were chatting about that. Well, we were chatting about that. So with that said though, back to this. We've got Friday and Saturdays when it's going on, so not Sunday, question mark? Okay, yeah, not Sunday, which is totally normal for smaller towns, so totally not a red flag there. So 3,000 plus books, very good sign, 70% donated. I love that, guys. 60% hardcover, I love that. When you can have something that's over 50% hardcovers, guys, you're going to have a good selection of at least vintage books, but most likely some antique books as well. Sorted, you guys know how much I love that. It makes it so much faster for me to go through things. No buyer restrictions, that's good for all of us, arguably. You guys know what I say about that. I like going and not having restrictions, but sometimes those restrictions do make my life a little bit easier because there won't be the other scanners, so I will be the only person sourcing there, and I'm just looking up the books manually, or I'm just buying the books that I know have value. It's pretty easy, honestly. Includes CDs, DVDs. If you're the used book guy, that's good for you. I don't do that personally. I should, honestly, guys, but I don't, not yet, at least. Just have enough other things on the on my to-do list, you know. Paperbacks, I love that. 25-cent paperbacks, I love that. Usually the only paperback books that I could pick up for 25 cents are going to be the mass market paperbacks, and mass market paperbacks, guys, I like spending 10 cents and under for those most of the time. There are some that I will spend a little bit more on. Let me just check, actually. Here we go. Bummer, I don't have any off right here. I have a little stack of mass markets next to me still. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the right books, but there are some mass market paperbacks that I will pay a little bit more for because I can sell them for a lot more. But by and large, that's not really my focus. So with that said, 8 for $1. That is actually stupid awesome. I'm very jealous of you guys down in Florida right now. Wow, eight books for $1. That's insane. Hardcovers are $1 each. That's very, very good. Oh, caveat, guys. We just see here trade paperback $1. That means these paperback books are going to be these mass market paperbacks that I mentioned already. Trade paperbacks, let me see if I have any next to me. Okay, yes, I do. Trade paperbacks, that is your normal size book. And right here is just actually I don't want to grab that one. Louis L'Amour for the win. So this is a mass market paperback. This is a trade paperback. As you guys can see, size difference. In addition to that, trade paperbacks, their spines don't get the folds on them. It's both because they're built better and also just because mass markets, since they're shorter, they have to make them thicker. So that's basically a quick way to see the difference between a mass market paperback and a normal paperback. I'll probably go over that in a whole video of its own just because it's important information, definitely know, but not getting into that in this video. So with that said, it looks like these paperbacks are for mass markets. So 8 for $1. It's not a fantastic deal, but it's definitely not terrible. You can definitely make money if you're buying the right books for that mass market thing. So for me, when I'm buying mass market paperbacks, again, I try to spend 10 cents and under, but you can definitely still make money buying them for 25 cents each. Let me just grab my calculator. And let's just say I like to sell my mass market paperbacks in lots of 10 or lots of 20. That is what I find a lot of people look for. However, you can also sell them as odd lots, like 9 books, 15 books, depending on what you have. So let's just say for easy math that you are selling a lot of books, a lot of mass market paperback books for $9, which I find is pretty common. Quick caveat before we go into that too much. If you guys are doing mass market paperback books, guys, be sure to get certain genres. Some genres sell a whole lot better than other ones. In fact, some publishers sell books that are a lot more popular and easy to sell than other ones. So, as I've mentioned in other videos, guys, be sure to look up my other mass market paperback videos if you guys are interested in this. But as I mentioned in one of those other videos, my best-selling mass market paperbacks that I have sold are Love Inspired. That's the publisher name. They put Love Inspired on all their things. Let me just look again really quick. Do I have any? Please. I know I have some in this stack somewhere, but I can't see them for the life of me. Yeah, I'm not going to spend an hour looking. But guys, Love Inspired mass market paperbacks. They also have Love Inspired Suspense, Love Inspired Romance, all those sort of ones. I find the large print ones of those can do very well. I sold 10 of them for $20 all the time. It was a very easy sale. I need to get more of them, honestly, just because of how quick they sold and how much money I made on them. Those, obviously, I was willing to spend a little bit more on because I was able to make a lot more money. However, that being said, I normally sell my mass market paperbacks for about 90 cents a book. So when I'm selling 10 of them, that is $9. So let's just run the numbers for that. So 10 books times 25 cents each, that means it'll cost you $2.50. However, if you do the 8 books for $1 thing, you could definitely get a better deal for that. So let's just $1 divided by 8, that is 12.5 cents per book. So definitely good money that you can make there, considering that you are selling these books for 90 cents and you would only be spending 12.5 cents. That is a good markup on our side. Of course, you might not be able to have all the storage to make this a full-time business for you, but it can definitely be a good thing if you have a new bookstore. It could be a good thing to just buy some of these early on, just to have the early sales in your store, because those early sales can get you early reviews. It can get you some traction on eBay. So personally, I recommend selling as many mass market paperbacks as you can early on, because people buying these books, they will see, oh, you're a new seller, I don't want to spend a whole lot of money with you. So mass market paperback books, those are definitely cheap enough that someone is not going to feel worried about buying from you. Whereas if you are selling a high-end antique book, like what I do, if someone has 0 reviews and they're trying to sell a book for $5,000, there's some red flags going up. So that's just what I personally would recommend. So with that said, back onto this. No more caveats for now. Trade paperback books, $1 each. That is still a good price. The fact it's the same as a hardcover book is a little bit of a bummer, but I don't normally buy trade paperbacks as it is, because trade paperback books generally are not going to be an antique book. In fact, I think I only know of like one. No, that's not true. I know of like 5 antique books that I've come across that have paperback books. That have paper covers and not a hardcover. Of course, I also have leather covers as well, but that still sort of counts as a hardcover, honestly. With that said, in another 20 years, I will definitely know that there are more paperback books that are antique, because there are a lot of paperback books from the 40s that would be antique in another 20 years, but that's not the case right now. So with that said, on to the next thing, children's books, $2 a bag, very good deal. I don't like doing children's books personally. I just don't see the return on them from my experience. However, I know of plenty of people who sell lots of them, such as Mel from Back from Burnout. If you guys want to learn more about that, she does that very well. She does lots of these children's books, and she makes some pretty good money on them. I find from my own experience and from what she has said that it's sort of the same as mass market paperbacks. You just got to do like lots of them, like not tons and tons, but like a lot of, say, children's books. So let's say children's books about the Cat in the Hat, children's books about such and such a thing, have it so it's sort of like a bunch of similar books clumped together, and you sell those as a group. So definitely some good money you can make on that. If you're paying $10 a bag, and let's just say there's 10 books in a bag and you sell a lot of 10, you could probably sell a lot of 10 children's books easily for like, well, if you want it to be as easy as possible, you could do it for $5 plus shipping. But I would say you could probably do $15 and still have a sale pretty easily if you're doing 10 books. Of course, you could charge more or less. I don't do that personally, so that's my thing. So next thing up, Saturday, $3 a bag. That's amazing. Or $2 a bag for children's. Okay, so that's basically the same as this. Very, very good deal with that. For me, with bags, if it's a grocery bag, a brown paper grocery bag, I can normally fit in about 20 books in those. Plastic bags, I can't fit in quite as many because the plastic bags, they just don't have the structure, so they're not as good to fit books into, but I can still fit in a good amount. So 20 for a paper bag, 10 to 15 for a plastic one. And then, of course, there are plenty of people that say, hey, bring your own from home. You can get more books that way. At the end of the day, I don't personally like doing that because, yeah, I know I could fit more in. I could get more bang for my buck, but I sort of feel dirty inside if I do that because it's like, it's a nonprofit you're doing it for. You're supporting the library here. You don't. And you're already getting a very, very good deal. You don't really need the extra, That's just my own opinion. I'm not saying you're a bad person if you do that. You're a business person if you are. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, for me, I'm perfectly fine spending money at these Friends of the Library sales because their pricing already is more than fair. I can make tons of money off them. I'm more than happy as it is. So with that said, this sale is absolutely fantastic. However, some valuable books removed from the sale. That's a red flag, guys. That's a big bummer. So with that said, they don't always get all of the very nice, expensive books, but they definitely get a lot of them a lot of the time. So with that said, let's just copy this on down and put it in here and find out where DeLand, Florida is compared to Pensacola. Is it worth driving to? If it's anywhere close, I would say it is because it definitely was a nice looking city. It looks like it's not too close though. Yeah, just outside of Orlando. So definitely would not be worth driving to potentially. Personally, I would be tempted to do it because I like doing the long drives. The long drives can make me some very good money based on tax write-offs. You guys know what I've said about that in other videos. I'd be tempted if there wasn't anything close to me, if I lived in Pensacola or anything like that, but I don't, so I'm actually going to exit out of this one. Yes, it's a very good sale. If you guys are around it, I would go to it, but not really my thing. Next one's Orlando, Florida. We already know we're not going to do this one, unless, of course, if you do the DeLand, Florida one, you could hit the Orlando one at the same time. So with that said, January 6th and 8th. Doesn't look like it is a quarterly one or anything. It looks like this could very well be just an annual one, which is very nice. So with that said, more than 20,000 books. That's very nice. 40% donated. Not as nice. That means that you're going to have a lot of ex-library books, most likely. 80% hardcover. That's very nice. It shows that there's probably going to be some antique and vintage books. However, those could be ex-library books, but ex-library antique books, guys, they're not worth nothing. That I know of plenty of them that do very well for me. I've made, I think my best ex-library antique book probably did like $400 roughly. So they definitely have some very good ones in there, especially if you are going to Christian libraries, churches, stuff like that. I find that Christian subject matter does very well for those sorts of books when they're antiques. A lot of people love those books. You have diehard Christians that want to get all the theology they can from all of history, and then you also have the seminary students that are trying to study all these things and they need it for their classes. So it's basically you get the best of both worlds. You have the normal fanatics who love books, and then you have, well, actually you also have the antique fanatics who love books, so the best of three worlds. So the people that are loving these books for the subject matter, the people that are loving these books because they're beautiful antiques, and then you have the perks of it basically being sort of like a textbook. It's not really a textbook, but it sort of draws from the same crowd. So best of three worlds. I love those sorts of books. In fact, I poke through quite a few of them that I end up getting. In fact, I'm over there. I got one of them that I'm reading right now from the 1850s. Very good book. So with that said, onto the next bit, sorry, sorted into categories. That's where I was getting into. I read ahead, messed myself up. So that's very nice. I love it when they do it. They say even here, it's for pleasant shopping experience. That is so stupid true, guys. When it is just a slew of everything just thrown together, it is so painful. I think it's still worth going to those ones if it's not sorted, because if it's not sorted and they say it's not sorted, that means no one's going to go to it, because everyone's going to be like, oh, it's not worth my time. But if you're like me, you can just walk into a place and you can instantly see all the old books and you'll know roughly how old they are. Personally, for me, I think it's sort of funny. I've gotten this wrong a couple times lately, actually. I look at certain books, I'm like, I want to say it's the 1880s, but there are some books from the 1940s that they printed and published to look like ones from the 1980s. I think that's sort of funny that they sort of did that in the 40s, because they also did that same sort of thing in the 80s. So you have some books from the 80s that look like they are older books, but once you get up close and personal to them, you'll instantly know, oh, that's not an antique. And the same sort of thing applies, not nearly as much, but the same sort of rule applies to the ones from the 1940s-ish. I find it's from the 20s to the 40s, but especially, I don't know, maybe there is a lot from the 20s also, but when you grab those, you'll more or less quickly know, oh, this is not actually from the 1800s. This is a 20th century one. So with that said, you guys will eventually get the eye for that. You have to do this business a little bit before you really get that down. So with that said, they also have CDs and DVDs, 25 cents each. That's pretty dandy. Collectible VHS. That's interesting. They're collectible. It makes me feel old if they're collectible at this point. I grew up on VHS, guys. January 6th to 8th, so it's going on this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Collection not picked over. Okay, that's pretty nice. All donations are in the sale, so that means there's going to be some really good books. However, I would suspect there could be some books that are individually marked and priced depending on their value if they made a point of saying this. We don't see what they are charging for the books as far as I could see, unless I'm on drugs, but that's definitely not terrible. Friends members receive 10% off, so if you guys want to save some money, you could definitely sign up to be a friend. You can click the link below. Obviously, you can't click it because it's a video, but I could if I wanted. You guys could just look it up yourself, booksalefinder.com. Same day receiving doc pickup available. Interesting. Upcoming books sale weekends. Okay, that's pretty cool. And obviously a bookstore. Doesn't say how many are at the store, so I don't know how many would be there, but you could definitely check it out yourself. But we got, guys, we're probably not going to do that one. Again, it's a bit of a drive. On to this one, Key West. I'm pretty sure Key West is not too close to Pensacola. I could definitely be wrong, but let's just check it out. Key West. Yep, not very close at all. So obviously not going to be doing this one if we're not going to do the Orlando one, because that's a bit of a drive. Looks like it is, I want to say monthly, and they just have the next 4 months marked out. I don't know. Saturday 10 to 1, outdoors, thousands of books, partly sorted. Interesting. That's the first partly sorted I think we might have had on these Work With Me videos, so that's sort of cool. 50 cents to $2, not terrible pricing. I think that's fair. First pick goes to the library circulation. So that just means that if someone donates a book, the library is going to look at it and be like, hey, is there a demand for this book for us to put into the library itself? Totally normal. So cool sale. I would go to it if it was around me, or if it was even a few hours away from me. But definitely not going to do that for this weekend, because that is a long drive. So on to this next one, Melbourne, Florida. I'm going to keep on saying it wrong, guys. I'm sorry, I'm sick. Bear with me. Not terribly sick, but just sick enough that I'm not the happiest camper. All right, I was afraid this is the case. So it looks like Melbourne is close to Orlando. So if you guys were going to do the long drive to go to Orlando and DeLand, definitely would be worth hitting this one. Also, if it's good, it's a BOGO sale, library hours. So it looks like it's just normal monthly sale. Nothing too exciting, but guys, I find that some of these are some of the best ones I go to. That being said, I know of plenty of bookstores and stuff like that where they only have like 2,000 books and they are always there, and generally those books, from my experience, are going to be the more popular books. So you'll have like the Tom Clancy, you'll have the Clive Cussler, you'll have all the different popular authors, those are going to be most of the books out there. You're going to have the hardcover versions, the paperback versions, the mass market versions, and you might have like 2 antique books there. If I go to those and I see that's the case, I don't walk out immediately. I mean, I drove there, so I'm going to put in the time. So I'll look through everything really quick, make sure there's no amazing things, make sure I can't get a really good deal. If I can get a really good deal on those books, I generally try to buy them just because they are almost guaranteed to be sales. So you don't really lose there. Profits aren't always quite as large, but you can definitely still make some money at these. From my experience, they do have a lot of nonfiction books in some of these. Obviously not 50% of them, but I find maybe 10% of them can be nonfiction books. And of that 10%, sometimes, let's just very rough numbers. Let's say there's 1,000 books at this sale. If it's a bookstore, if I go into one of these and I see 1,000 books, I will oftentimes walk away with about 4 books. If it is mostly new books, that sort of stuff, I will walk away with about 4 books that are more valuable ones that are like $40 or more. That's just very rough numbers. And again, that is just if it is going to be a bookstore that has mostly newer and mostly popular books. I do find some newer books that are worth more money. Those generally are nonfiction from my experience, not always the case, but by and large, nonfiction newer books are going to be worth more than fiction newer books, just my experience. So with that said, exiting out of booksalefinder.com, we did not find anything really nice. So let's open this on up. Do I get a zip code? Tell me a zip code. No. Okay. I think I can zoom in and it shows a zip code. Maybe not. Let's just click on the church. Hello, Mr. Church. I'm stealing your zip code 32503. 32503. My memory feels a little shot, guys. Again, sick. 32503. 32503. Okay, it's right. So just putting that on in. And this on in, and that's just I was stealing the zip code so I could have Pensacola, Florida pop up for this sale. So as we wait, let me just burn some time. I guess I don't have to burn time. Guess you guys don't get to know the secret I wanted to say. So here we are within 50 miles. I don't think I'm going to do 50 miles for this. Actually, no, I will because it's on the coast and 50 miles into the Gulf doesn't really do much. You guys got lucky. Okay, so not it. Why aren't we getting anything from Pensacola? Maybe it's because it's just loading. All right, so we have 2-3 sales around here. Potentially you could drive up to Mobile, Florida, because that's a larger town, so that could be worth going to. I'm just going to open up these. Oh, that's funny, Milton. I have a Milton free water around where I live. So just opening these on up right now. It looks like we actually have 4, not 3. That's weird. I'm going to move this on over to here just so we can have a couple more sales that we quickly look at. That's the keyword, guys, quickly. So let's see. Auction, not going to do that one. So just going to look at these 2, and I'm going to look at these 2 first, just so we can speed things along. So Joyful January, ooh, moved off-site to store. Generally, I find when they move it off-site to the store, they will charge more. It's because they already put in the work to get everything out of the house. That's a lot of work on their part, so it's fair for them to charge more. However, I normally don't go to those just because I don't want to spend more, because I'm willing to drive out to the houses. In fact, I prefer driving out to the houses because I get the better prices. I don't expect to find a lot of books here because oftentimes when they do these things where they move them off-site, they get rid of a lot of the books because they just don't think that the books are worth it. They will just keep a few books that they think are more valuable, from my experience. Of course, there are some that do understand what books are worth and they don't like destroying books and having them thrown out, but I find that's in the minority. Let's just keep on going until we see some books, I guess. Nothing fancy just yet. Okay, these grape things, guys, I will never understand why people have bunches of fake grapes in their houses. I think it's weird. It sort of bothers me. It's like, excuse me, now I'm hungry and you don't have food for me. I am sad. Nothing just yet. An additional thing that I want to say, guys, is usually when I have these ones where it's moved off-site, there will be a lot of other things from other book sales that have happened at these sorts of things. And I just want to say, guys, you could see the two that I just opened up here. I think we've already opened this one up in a different photo. But as you can see, these two guys, they clearly look like they have some more value. So that's probably why this company got these. They usually get these sets of books, or at least ones that look nicer, because they think they'll be able to fetch larger price on them, and therefore more profit, make money for their time. So these don't look like they're actually books. I was a little sketched out on that anyways. I wasn't certain, but I wanted to get it just to be sure. These could very well be books, but it looks like it's just file folder sort of things. Onto this, if these are the years these are actually printed, that's pretty nice. Scrivener Monthly. I know of this. I just can't remember what it is exactly, but I have seen some of these before. I don't think I've ever sold any Scrivener Monthly books, but I have seen them, so they could be worth something. Oxford English Dictionary. I don't make a lot of money on dictionaries. However, I have never had an Oxford English Dictionary set like this, so this definitely could be worth more money. It looks like these could be ex-library books, which could negatively impact their value. However, if they are antique books, they could be still worthwhile. If these are antique books, I would say they're just on the fringe of it. I would say, just looking at the spines, that they're probably from like the 1920s or 1930s. They don't really have the coloring in them to make me think that they are too much newer than 1960 at the newest. They definitely could be. I don't know for sure. I can't see the pages. I need to see the pages and the binding and that sort of stuff to normally get a good gauge on what they are, how old they are. So we've already seen these. There's another shot of it. So that's a no. Would I go to the sale? If I didn't have anything else to do, yeah, I would go to this one. I don't know the pricing on it, but it definitely could be worth going to. Everything priced to sell, yes, I know people say that, but it doesn't always mean that. It's like priced to sell for a normal consumer, not for us resellers, from my experience. So you could definitely negotiate, but not guaranteed to make a good return. I have, of course, done this a few times. I don't always get bad experiences at these, but I've been at plenty of them where it's just not worth my time to go to. But again, if there's nothing else to do, yeah, I would go, because those sets definitely looked interesting. Okay, nothing at this sale, minus a creepy doll, because you guys know what I say, all dolls are creepy. So onto this. Arts and craft. When I see arts and craft sale, I immediately think, okay, this was an older lady, who recently died, most likely. And usually these older ladies will have at least a few books, generally like Bibles, that are going to be worth at least a little bit. And they will also have cookbooks, because they do all the cooking for their family for the holidays, because they love doing that. And sure enough, here we are. Looks like a Bible and some cookbooks. I just wish I was. I'm good like that, guys. I totally. I'm saying that sort of to be funny, because I just knew it'd be the case, because I see it so often. So, yeah, sure enough, a lot of books. None of these look like they're antiques. Sometimes you will find some antiques in these, but yeah, it looks like just Bible. Looks like a potentially antique Bible, definitely vintage. Cookbooks, and a bunch of other things. So yeah, definitely a old lady, especially judging off the lace tablecloth. I think that's the right word. I don't know for sure. But yeah, I would think this sale would be worth at least checking out if I didn't have anything else to hit, and if I was in the area. Milton, Florida, that is within the area of Pensacola, Florida. So I'm going to leave it open as a potential let's go to one. Onto this one, Milton Op downsizing. Don't know what that is. So, guys, I just want to say, looking at these sorts of things, I would suspect that this is... Actually, before I speak too soon, I was looking at the kitchen stuff, and I was thinking it was a potentially younger family, like up to their 50s, maybe low 60s, but seeing this makes me think it could be definitely someone older also. So you could sort of like gauge roughly how old you think someone is, and personally for me, if they are older, I like that, because it shows that they will have older books. Sort of got flashed there, but they sort of covered it up, so okay. But yeah, I usually like the sales for the older people because they will have older books, and in addition to that, they just have cooler things, and you can hear from a lot of these, if it's the families running it, you can hear the person's life story, and I just love life stories, guys. It's my thing. Love it. A bunch of books here. Nothing too exciting. Service manual. Looks like it's for cars. So yeah, I don't think this family was too old, but they definitely were not the youngest bucks. Back up to these books. Looks like some of these are ex-library books, so it shows they were thrifty, potentially, if those are, in fact, ex-library things. So being that thrifty, I would say they are older because kids nowadays, they just want to spend money for the sake of spending money. It's like it's going out of style. Some more books here. Again, these look like newer books, so I wouldn't go to this sale personally. Just not enough antique books or stuff that looks antique to me. Oh, that's interesting. Back onto this, we have I can't remember what people call these, but it's when you take the old cars and you try to make them look cool and new, and personally, I'm not a big fan of it. I like if I was buying an old car, I would leave it looking like an old car because I love the style. Whenever they show off the engine, it just bugs me. Got some books here. Vintage looks like the oldest we have here. Nothing too antique-y. Some weird artsy stuff. This sort of artsy stuff, I find you'll have at least a few books at these sales if you have the weird statue sort of things. But if it's almost only paintings, I don't find a whole lot of books at those places a lot of the time. Not always the case. You guys will eventually find the flavor of person that has a lot of books and paintings. But this didn't look like that to me. With that said, though, if there is a place that has a lot of paintings and a lot of books, I find that they will have a lot of antique books at these places, and generally we are talking about multi-million-dollar folks with at least $1 million estate. Usually, of course, this one's down in Florida, so it's probably worth less, but where I live, if you have more than like 20 acres, your place is almost guaranteed to be worth $1 million. Of course, that's not always the case also, but just rough things to keep an eye out for is more expensive homes with paintings, with books. You'll have some antiques. Of course, there's tons of other things to look out for too, but that's just one thing. So onto this, we got some pictures. Don't know if they're paintings, but let's keep on going. House is very well kept. This looks like it's a shed, but based on the house, it looks like it's well kept, which means if there are books, these books are going to be kept very nicely. They're not going to be in some terrible looking box that got wet 15 years ago and it's just full of mildew. So definitely a good sign so far. Not sure if we'll see any books, but now that I see this, I think there definitely will be some books because it shows that they have at least some antiques. People that like collecting at least a few antiques. Here we have some old dishes that are look potentially antique as well. When you have people that collect at least some antiques, they will have at least one book kicking around because at some point they saw an antique book and were like, ooh, that looks cool. That'd be a nice addition to the collection. So even if we don't see an antique, creepy dolls, creepy nun doll at that. Interesting, it even has a cool Jesus necklace. Looks like we got a couple books. I'm going to open this up. American Checker Player's Handbook. What in the world? Why do you need a handbook to play checkers? Alright, so we do have some books, no antiques just yet. Judging off of how many World War II looking books we have, I didn't even really... Yeah, so this looks like it's World War II. This is obviously World War II. You got the German cross. So judging by the presence of these World War II books, I would guess that this is either a greatest generation guy who fought in World War II or a boomer who is the child of someone who fought in World War II. Judging off this helmet, I would think more likely that this is going to be a boomer's sale because this is more of a after World War II helmet. So potentially this person might even be a veteran. I find veterans have some really cool things at their places. Here is, let's see, F9F Panther. I don't remember exactly when this is, but this looks sort of like something that we would have had in or after Korea. I've seen plenty of these books, the Searchlight Recipe Cookbooks. A lot of people swear by these. Personally, I pick them up if I find them and they're a good deal. They're worth at least $10 most of the time, so not terrible. Some more war memorabilia. Alright, so based on this, I'm leaning more towards Boomer. Boomers love the landing on the moon. Of course, I haven't really spoken to many people who fought in World War II about the moon landing. Potentially they love it too. But just based on what I see, I definitely would say this person's under 80, potentially under 70. So, cool sale. Not amazing, but not bad. If I had nothing else to do, I would go to this one. So, let's just exit out of that, and we have these two sales. This one is the arts and craft one that I was a little more excited about than the other one. Let's see, because of this shelf, just pick up some Bibles because I find Bibles sell pretty well. So on to this. It looks like we didn't have anything pop up on estatesales.org. That is totally normal, guys, for this to happen. It says nothing, so actually I'll just X out. It's totally normal for that sort of thing to happen where you don't have anything on one site, you don't have everything on the other site. That's just because these companies, they find they have more traffic on a certain thing, and then they start posting just on that thing, and then the other companies realize that everyone's just looking on that one site, so eventually everyone just moves on to one if you're in a smaller town. So with that said, looks like we just have two places to go near Pensacola, Florida. I would hit... I'm not thrilled about either, but I would hit this one in Milton first, and then if I had time to spare, I would go to this one, which is also in Milton. They're, again, not the best per se, but it's definitely not bad, especially considering how short of a drive that is. So that's just what we have for this week. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that this will be edited and ready in time for the 1:30 premiere that I normally do. It's 12:07 right now, so good luck to me. So I'm actually going to cut it off right now so I can get straight to it. So if you guys want to check out my other videos, there they are there. Again, you guys probably want to check out the mass market paperback videos just to learn more about that, because it is a very good niche to sell in, especially if you're brand new, because it's just such an easy sale, especially if you price things correctly. So again, check out one of my other videos there. Be sure to subscribe there, and I'll see you guys in the next one.